Disclaimer. The information and education material contained herein is meant to promote the general understanding and dialogue of GAN's processing. Such information is not meant or intended to serve as a substitute for a healthcare professional's clinical training, experience, or judgment. For patients and individuals, such information is not to be a substitute for professional medical, therapeutic, or healthcare advice or counseling. For medical issues or concerns, including decisions about medications and other treatments, readers, viewers, listeners should always consult their physician or, in serious cases, seek immediate assistance from emergency personnel. Prescription information, procedures, and use of medical devices information should be undertaken only by properly trained and certified medical personnel. We specifically disclaim any warranties, express or implied, including implied warranties of merchantability or fitness for a particular purpose. Such information is provided, as is, and is believed to be accurate at the time of its publishing, but it is the viewer's job to evaluate the accuracy of any information found in this presentation. Every case presented is of their own experience, applied by themselves for themselves, and it applies to their case only. Every person experiencing health problems should seek professional medical advice and consult their course of treatment with a doctor. The processes of plasma balancing described herein are a natural process which supports the body but does not replace medical advice or therapies one is already subject to.
This is what, when we tell you, concentrate and try to, as knowledge seekers, to elevate the soul of all those who are involved in negotiations in Vienna. Because, in fact, there's many of them, as I said before, of all backgrounds, all different kind of taste and love and hate and other things. When we ask you that all of you as knowledge seekers give from your soul, is because this one, feel the strength of the soul, might be still spreading but doesn't fit none to elevate, because it's a different strength. This one might just about to fit this one, but misses the others because it's of the different strength. This one might fit half of this one, and this one might fit this one, but part of it, not all of it. And this one might fill the part which the other one cannot fulfill. But when you collectively put together, you radiate the whole lot, and the elevation is the same totality. You fulfill at least 78%, 70 to 80% of it, which is coming from the dimension of the environment, from the soul of the man. Now you understand why we ask. It's a collective work to enlighten those who have not been enlightened to understand it. We have knowledge seekers. We know for a fact we have knowledge seekers in the negotiating teams. Knowledge seekers who learn the knowledge, and they've been brought in case Mr. Keshe appears, we can hit. Mr. Keshe comes, we can handle. Such and such a minister comes, we can handle. This is why then we become in totality, in essence, the totality of us to become knowledgeable to all of it, to become part of the Creator's knowledge. Understanding and transferring the knowledge and totality hits very deep if you understand it. In some of my teachings, I release some knowledge you think is a joke, but in reality hits exactly where it's got to, reaches that soul, and then it creates the next step of what we call cycle of motion. In our lives, we come across these positions and conditions a lot. And it's our awareness that brings the next cycle of work. How we be, how we can be, how we have to set to elevate, to change, and to bring that change in. And as today's teaching is mainly based on what is going to happen in Vienna in peace negotiations, is this. It's mainly the target to enlighten the world leaders that we bring the change to totality. And we are in that position to bring about the change. We are in that position to bring the difference in the work of that change. And this is why and how we set the change through our souls, to understanding, to share, and to give unconditionally that we can cover part of.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the 564th Knowledge Seekers Workshop here on Thursday, November 14th, 2024. This is a broadcast of the Keshe Foundation, Spaceship Institute, Education Department, and part of the Public Teachings in English. My name's Rick Crammond, and I will be host once again in this weekly series of wonderful workshops. And once again, we have our wonderful presenter, Mr. Mehran Keshe, ready to go with another exciting program for us. Please go ahead, Mr. Keshe.
Thank you very much. Good morning, good day to you, as usual, wherever and whenever you listen to this series of Knowledge Seekers program from Keshe Foundation Spaceship Institute. We welcome you back. And as usual, we try to go directly into teaching. But something very interesting which just happened, and it's amazing how I had no knowledge of the intro, which was chosen by Rick, and he just told me that this is done by Lisa some time ago, and it's the first time we're broadcasting it. And it's interesting how he always chooses the topics which is somewhere, most of the time, in the background of the teaching or what is going on. This intro is very important in a way what spoke about 5+1 negotiations in Vienna. As I know many of you are aware, the head of IAEA, Dr. Grossi, arrived in Tehran last night to reignite the 5+1 prior to Trump taking office, even though, as you know, they get elected and they start working in the background till they take office in January by the American new president. But what is interesting, after a week of declaration of the new president elected in the US, Mr. Grossi has decided to meet in Iran, even though there is a very large conference going in Vienna by the IAEA, some 300 participants of nuclear technologies and the rest in this conference. He left the conference to be in Iran. And as many of you are aware, Iran did some work a couple of months ago. And as you're again aware, in next few hours, maybe a few days, Iran will run a second test, which is deep underground. And usually it's a pattern of the government. Iran, what they did in a very intelligent way, the first test was a small amount to see if the ignition system of nuclear warheads work, which they were happy with. And now we see the second test with a larger payload to be able to proceed with what they have to do in the nuclear side. And as I said as advice to the Iranian leadership in the past days, we are abandoning 5+1. I'm sure Americans and others are listening on the line, and they know we usually speak direct. As I suggested to the Iranian leadership, 5+1, when we set it up with Obama exactly 12 years ago, we met on the 15th of November with American ambassadors and the whole entourage in Brussels. We set up the 5+1 to negotiate to find a way. We succeeded in ways, and on the other hand, as now Iran has become a nuclear power with some 30+ warheads, the 5+1 is obsolete, and we walk away from it. Because it was to negotiate that Iran does not become nuclear. Now Iran is nuclear nation. But the pursuing this 5+1 negotiation is useless, because we are there and Iran is part of the nuclear club. And whatever comes, we shall see. But as we abandon 5+1, as of today, I'm sure Grossi will be told in Iran that Iran decision 5+1 does not stand anymore. We negotiate as a nuclear nation, and what we call the game has changed. But I'm sure in the coming weeks, as knowledge seekers, you'll find out that nuclear industry of Iran pursuing for nuclear preparation and the rest has been part of the Iran space technology. Iran space program, as I laid out in 2008, is nuclear-based. We are totally nuclear, but in a different direction, and many facilities of Iran is used in that direction. As we saw, Netanyahu in 2015 showed the Iranian plasma nuclear space reactor of the Keshe Foundation, and even a cross-section from inside it, as Iran nuclear preparation for nuclear bomb. And we negotiate on the basis of the Iran new space technology with the West. And you will see the change in the course. I'm sure that the Iranian negotiator, in a very soft way, will explain to Mr. or Dr. Grossi in Tehran today, as he arrived last night, that we're not talking about any prevention to become. We are nuclear, but our nuclear is on a peaceful application for a space technology and space defense. How they take it, how they develop it, is part of the knowledge gain and political environment. It's the first time ever Dr. Grossi has announced that he's coming to Iran to negotiate with the Iranian government and Iranian nuclear physicists, because they know they have lost the position to negotiate on a nuclear basis, but they want to know how much they achieved, how many warheads. You will find out it stands equal and know what we call the spring beans to give more information than they expect. But on the other hand, you will hear in the coming weeks and months to come that Iran nuclear development is for peaceful application of a space development. And we will find out that in that process, Keshe Foundation and the knowledges of Keshe Foundation will play a huge part in this process. Be it developing the technology in different applications, be it developing the information and technology in different directions. Many of you have seen the Keshe Foundation and you tell us, why don't you do this? If you have this, why don't you do that? Like any other organization, if you look at the structures like NASA, European Space Agency is partially in there, but if you look at the Chinese and Russians and NASA, they are not just somebody to push someone and few people into space, as we've seen in the space lab. They carry out continuously different experiments to find more and to prove part of the technologies they develop is workable. Keshe Foundation and its space program is no different. You saw us doing agriculture in China. You've seen us setting a factory up in Ghana, which everybody thought it was a failure, but it was one of the biggest successes we had in research and development in a short time we were in Ghana. Sometime in the future, I'll explain why and how. Then you've seen many of you doing different tests. We opened a wellness center in collaboration with Germany. These all were to test different application, different criteria, effectiveness, and learning to do in space the correct way. We are no different. We are literally no different than NASA. They come, they do finding, trying to discover something that stops the material getting damaged in space or whatever. They do all the research, and then when they discover it, they sell it to you as Teflon. That's where Teflon came. Many of your materials and systems and other things you use is part of proof of technology which is used in space. The government do this with the finances behind their back and hide a lot of it, and when and if become successful, we hear about it. In Keshe Foundation, we are the same. You knowledge seekers, Keshe Foundation and different operation, we test to prove, yes, we can produce material. Yes, we can create a what we call non-satellite communication from Mars or Moon to Earth and the rest. Yes, we can create water from magnetic field. Yes, we can create lift and motion and weight reduction. To you as knowledge seekers has been, Mr. Keshe, wasting time. But no, Keshe Foundation and Mr. Keshe work on a target. We say we can transfer information. What do? We don't need no satellite. NASA spends billions, finds different organization testing. Mr. Keshe goes to knowledge seekers. You pay us to be in sessions for us to develop the technology of communication. No satellite communication. This is what you've been doing on Fridays every month with us. When you sit, but we are so advanced that we don't lose the verbal communication that is instantaneous. We use your soul, the information from your inner being, which affects our system. We see it. We communicate through your inner energy. We are even more advanced than they are. And now we say cosmic bundles. You buy cosmic bundles. Oh, I have a thing, I can do communication. Yes, you buy it. We see how your system performs in different tests. When you use it for communication, when you use it for obesos, different ways of it. So all the things you've done with us in the past 20 years is part of what black budgets cover. And when it's successful, you might hear. And if it's a failure, you might, if they decide you hear. Keshe Foundation, our failure, our success in a space, in development, agriculture, that man needs food and energy in space is on the table. So you will hear from the Iranian government in a coming time very soon that we abandon 5+1 because we are already a nuclear nation, but nuclear for space development. Even though we have access to nuclear for annihilating anything on this planet, 13 nuclear warheads is a massive amount of power. But Iran is not in the game of playing that game. Iran is in the game of developing new technologies. In the coming days and weeks, we start negotiating with IAEA and the American government directly. Technology in exchange for peace. We will show people like Moss that Tesla cars are obsolete. There is no need for battery cars. European nations cannot afford it because it's too expensive. We will show the X-rocket program is over because we will show Iran will commit himself before end of this decade to land on Mars and Moon and the rest in matter of minutes and hours than days, which is done now. NASA is working to get to Moon on 2030, headed by one of the Keshe Foundation close collaborators and friends in NASA. Takes 7 months to go to Mars and then find the right track to come back 7 months. We estimated about 22 months needed for round trip. But the Iranian space program, nuclear-based plasma technology, returned to Mars within a day, even shorter. We bring this technology to show everything that Moss has done is obsolete. He is a billionaire in matter state. Once we introduce the plasma state, he is zillionaire. Tesla cars were not worth anything. Project X was not worth anything. The satellites he's put around the Earth worth nothing. So we see one of the millionaires, billionaires, the fourth richest man on this planet in material state will worth nothing. Unless Keshe Foundation backs it, unless collaboration is with Keshe Foundation and Tesla. And the rest of it. We'll negotiate with the American government, new administration, on the basis of advanced technology, not on the basis of nuclear. Nuclear for us is obsolete. And this is all because partly and primarily because of you knowledge seekers. You tested for us. You did things for us. You educated people. We hear later on today how Brazilian conference in Brazil last weekend put the technology across the nation. We hear from different ministers who are ambassadors, who are knowledge seekers, but they understand the ethos and they work inside. So, in a way, as exactly 12 years ago, tomorrow, I put my hand across the table to the American officials, by the request and the meeting in Brussels, Technology and Exchange for Peace, which became the beginning of 5+1. Today, exactly 12 years later, we announced the end of 5+1. Because they did not listen the way we wanted it, but they gave Iran a chance to become a universal nuclear technology nation, not matter state, human nuclear state. And I thank the Iranian scientists, the knowledge seekers of Keshe Foundation who work inside the Iran Atomic Energy Authorities, the same as the knowledge seekers who work in the Russian Space Agency, the same as the knowledge seekers who work in NASA and the rest of it. We've seen the knowledge seekers, even in American defense, has submitted a patent on the what we call the star formation of the Keshe Foundation. And when they asked him, he said, the guy who invented it, who discovered it, doesn't want to patent it, I do it. He's a knowledge seeker, because if he didn't have the knowledge from the Keshe Foundation, he could not put a patent in. So you see, we are everywhere. We become everywhere because it goes on the wisdom of 12 years ago. In 2012, we had the wisdom of sharing knowledge very conspicuously and very hidden with the world governments. We gave the keys to the embassy, to the ambassadors. When you give, even when you say hello to an ambassador, which is something with his nation, he has to report it. The key we gave to all the nations was transferred back to their nations. They opened it up. Chinese has spent trillions of yen in testing, inspecting, finding out which part of the knowledge which was on the key was useless to them and which one was useful to them. And this led us in 2017 to China and all the work we've done in China. Now we have infiltrated like a mob without them knowing what's happening above through the brain and knowledge of the knowledge seekers. It's important for us to know we carry on the teaching because we laid the road for next step. The teaching, especially since started last week, and the teachings of past month or so, is directly to that way. When we cross into the boundaries of this solar system, we don't have anymore even the sunlight to rely on to charge our systems. Our nuclear powered systems are useless because they have a problem in creating faster speed. They cannot give us protection in the span of the universe. They cannot create universal transportation. And this is why we introduced the teachings, especially starting from last week when I said we go into a new dimension. If you want to play a game, you have to understand the rules of the game. If you want to be playing football, you cannot wear American football clothes with the helmets and everything else. It makes you useless when you play soccer. Even though they both chase the same ball with different shape. In a space, we cannot use propulsion. We cannot use nuclear reactors the way they are today. We have to travel. We have to travel the span of the universe according the way the universe is created, not what man imagined in the matter state. We have to understand the work, the way it's there, and can be used to travel the span of universe. It's been to us, it's been with us, and it's the cause of our creation, but we never understood. As I said once to a close friend of mine in Tehran, the Keshe Foundation technology it's like the oil in southern Iran and in Saudi Arabia in parts, where for thousands of years, oil has bubbled up and it's been on the land. Nobody knew what to do with it. Till the man came, developed intellectually and technically to build something to convert this oil to something that it could run an engine. It was there for thousands of years. But when the intellect reached the position of the industrial level that man could create a system, call it the engine, could use it, refine it, and run a car, then we start understanding more and more about it since past 100, 150 years. It's been there for millions of years. Gas plasma technology. Understanding the condition of the fuels of the universe has been with us not since the oil time, but we are created out of it. Our own creation, our own body works, lives through it all the time. Now we have reached technologically to a level to understand it. And this is why there is so much opposition by those who still want to use the oil, because they're happy with their abuse of the planet, and they cannot do that with the universal energies. Now, with the thanks to understanding and wisdom of Ayatollah Khamenei of Iran, Keshe Foundation will rise to a limit that mankind could not imagine. The knowledge of the Keshe Foundation under the flag of Iranian nation will become part of the work of the Iranian negotiation with America, with Western Europe, and the rest of the nations. Advanced technology for obsolete technology. In the coming days and weeks, we'll see it on the table of negotiation on behalf of the Iranian nation as Keshe Foundation. Negotiating the new technology, showing to Mr. Tesla that people who use his name to build a car with it have come to the point where he brought to merge the old with new, and Keshe Foundation brings the new technology. Where we have to understand, okay, you're happy to go with a donkey, use Tesla cars, electric charge. You want to go with the jumbo jets of today knowledge, you use gravitational system. It cost $9 billion to build one factory to produce electric car batteries to meet 15% of the demand of United Kingdom only. Then you see how man soon will run out of the option with electric cars. Then we have no alternative to look for new sources. Oil and engines of the structure using different type of oils has supported us over 100 years, 150 years. Electric cars will not support us for 15 years, when they're supposed to be as extensively as mechanical engines. The earth does not have the resources, financial resources, to produce 80 to 100 million cars, which primarily works on electric cars. And at the same time, supply the cars which are produced years before and the cars come in the future. The car industry knows, the governments know, but they're hoping something will come and solve this problem. At the moment, we're making good money out of it. You got to realize there is no option but to come up with an alternative by latest 2030, 2035. to replace electric cars. We don't have enough ground to bury our nuclear waste, let alone find ground to, in a way, recycle and bury the cars which use electric batteries. A safer method, a safer technology, cheaper technology, accessible technology for every man on this planet has to become an alternative, where we use energies which is within structure of our planetary system and in our universe. We tapped into the oil fields. We tapped into trying to say we use the rays of the sun. With the new technology, we tap into the energies of the universe. We tap into energies which created us and is everlasting. It feeds us, but we don't accept because we don't understand. It's very easy to build a system in energy which works the same way as the body of the man. If you understood the very first teachings, go back from the beginning of the time when I start teaching. I always told you what you eat, what you consume as a human being is 20% of your what body consumes. The other 80% comes from the fields of the planetary system energy and the universe. Man making a system to travel the span of universe has to work on the same way. Earth was a small ball and it became the size it is today, and its surface is still expanding in dimension. Because it receives, even in the center core with all this water and the mass on top of it, energy from the universal system. Continuously fed. You call it magnetic fields, and we show it with lines in the North Pole and the South Pole. These lines are the feeding line to the system. They're not just fields. They're not just imaginary line. We eat food. We kill animals. We destroy vegetables to feed ourselves, to walk, to live, to keep the heart moving. When we are sick, lying on a bed in a hospital, we cannot eat anything. They connect one line to our body to feed us and one line to get our waste out, without any potatoes and bananas going in. That line feeding in is the same as the magnetic fields which goes through the earth. The line which comes out is the same as we say in the North Pole line coming out. The energy of the universe is fed through these magnetic fields into the center of this planet continuously. Keep it going. Is not just with the fallacy of that in the center there is a hydrogen or nuclear process and a metal drum or whatever to create the magnetic fields. This is all made up stories for the man who did not have the intelligence of the past, of the creation. These line of magnetic fields we are used to seeing over the field comes in from the south and it goes through the north, is that pipe in the arm of the man feeding it. The body takes the energy from that line, what it needs, and then it gives out what it doesn't need on the other end, which we call it the North Pole. In fact, if you look at it, the mouth of this planet is on the south and its anus on the top. We call it the North Pole, where it comes out for certain direction of the fields, and vice versa the other way. And in that process, the fields just don't go just going. When you see the magnetic field line, these are feeding lines. These are the processes which the universe exists on. This is the line where the sun transfers its energy to the center core of the earth and all the planetary system. And scientists of the man have not understood this. Your heart, your body cannot function if it doesn't receive food on continuous basis. You die. It's the same with the planetary system, it's the same with Earth. If it doesn't receive food on continuous basis from its mother, the sun, through magnetic fields, it'll die. It'll collapse. It's not just there is one center core, it's what that field brings to center core, continuously feeding it. It's the same as the body of the man. They say you use 2,000 calories a day to be able to run. Earth takes billions, thousands of magnetic field, plasmatic field calories from the sun every day to run its center, to be able to rotate, to dissipate it as magnetic fields coming out to feed its children, which is the man, dog, the cat, and the rest. We call it gravity. We call it magnetical. When we have magnetical field going out, it's not just going out to cover the earth and the atmosphere. It feeds us. It's part of that 80%. It goes through us. It doesn't have a line to pass your body as you're running. Doesn't matter where you are, like the love of the Creator rains on you. In a way, man gets fed exactly through the earth, through his backside. Where is closest to the earth, and it comes out through his brain. And when man creates too much energy in the middle, and that energy coming out cannot handle the physical dimension, you have a brain stroke and you have a heart attack. We are getting fed exactly like man said. Micro and a micro, what you don't see in one, you don't understand. Look at the other one, you understand. You thought your backside is the way you get rid of everything. In fact, your backside is where everything comes in from the planet Earth as a magnetical field. You're running in the atmosphere of it. Why do you think you're special and nothing happens to you? Why do you think mankind is something very special? Earth receives fields from the earth, from the sun, and the rest of it through its southern pole as the rotation of the clockwise of the system and anti-clockwise of the system goes. And then, as it goes, energizes, it creates fields. And this magnetical and gravitational, how do they come? What are they? Is just something in the air? No, it's part of your life. It's your feeding system. It's part of the 80%. Most probably 60% of the 80% is what comes through your bottom up. Then, if you understand this, you follow the tracer when it went through your brain, where it's gone to. Where it's going to land me. Then you understand more about the truth of your own creation. This is why I explained yesterday, in the last week teaching, about when you take a step, there is no rocket to push it up. It's just the way the fields work. Now you understand how 80% of your food come to you. 60%, maybe more, comes from magnetic field, which creates the magnetical atmosphere of this planet. The balance comes from the universal energies from above, which goes through. Remember the magnetic fields on a magnet. The gap in between is not just the gap, is where fields come in. That's where we receive fields from universal energies. 60% comes from the earth within, which the earth has digested from the fields of the universe, which come through the sun and the rest through its bottom side. So next time when you sit on the ground, think how much energy I'm taking in. Then you understand why man likes to sit. why man lies down to go to sleep, and how our position changes when we sleep and we dream. And next time when you wake up, lying on the floor, see which side of your body you slept, and then remember the dream, the travel of the span of your internal energy, your central core. And then you find out if your dream is connected to the earth, or is your dream connected to the universe? Did you connect to somebody else or you did not? Did you fall asleep upright, and how did it affect you? Man should understand the work of the universe, the realistic way it is, not what was imagined to be. In a way, the earth absorbs higher strength fields into its core on a continuous basis. We show it as magnetic field line, chews it up, transfers it, and like a mother which has chewed the food and puts it in the mouth of his child because he does not have the digestion system, or through his umbilical cord feeds it till it grows, through his magnetic fields feeds the man. We have only looked at what is suited us, but we did not look what happens in reality. Then you understand the confirmation of the man existence. And this is the job of the Keshe Foundation, is coming up negotiation with the American government, with the Russians, with the Chinese, with the rest of humanity, to transfer this knowledge on equal basis, and Iran becomes the center of the technology and the new knowledge of the creator. I have committed the Keshe Foundation to the Iranian government, and will continue to do as is on the terms of every nation, even Israel, will receive the knowledge on one basis: technology in exchange for peace. On the 15th of November 2012, when I put my hand across the table with American officials, American ambassador, they had to make a call to Obama in the White House. He's not giving the key. He wants to shake hand that he starts talking about peace in exchange for technology. This time, in negotiation with the IAEA, we negotiate with the rest of the world. We do not accept United Nations. I'm a nuclear physicist. I speak to the people who understand my language. And in Vienna, we start this new series of negotiations. Not 5+1. The whole humanity, technology, in exchange for peace. Everything is accepted and agreed fundamentally with the Iranian government. And in the coming days, officially, will transfer technology across to the other nations through Iranian president and the office of Ayatollah Khamenei of Iran. The whole process is to show technology in exchange for peace, where we have that oil reserve. We cannot take man to space if we do not have access to the energy, understanding it, and being able to tap into it. And the Keshe Foundation has access to that technology. We have created our own fuel. We have created a space fuel. We have created a fuel which runs the operation of the creator, and not the oil fields of the Middle East and the gases in Alaska and the rest. You have to understand, to play a game, you have to be dressed for it. To run a marathon, you have to be trained for it and have the energy for it. And now we have that technology, we have that access, and we deliver it to be able to take man into a space, not just in the next 5 or 10 years to Mars and to Moon, but outside the solar system, using international what we call universal magnetic field lines. All the fields going into the south pole of the Earth does not come from the sun. Partially comes from its own feedback to control, partially comes from the sun, and of the different order comes from the galaxy, and a different order comes from the universe, and a different order comes from the Creator. Untuned and direct. And then the Earth does the same. He chews it up and he puts it out in a more concentrated, what I call laser magnetic fields of a given strength, which with interaction with the material which cocoons it, is the reactor, become digestible by the body of the man and the plants, and guarantees the survival. Then you understand, when we build the space reactors, they carry the same process. They absorb energy from the universe once we ignite it, like when we give the soul of the man to the body of the man in the womb of the mother. And then it feeds its passengers. When you look at a nuclear-based reactor, the one Mr. Netanyahu showed as the Iran nuclear proliferation, which is actually out of his stupidity, Iran most advanced space reactor. That reactor is not just there to fly you, it has to feed you. It has to be the provider of the medicine for your soul, for your emotion, and for your body. It has to be there to create energy that it gives you light to see. It has to be there to create energy, to create water for you, because your body is based on the water to survive. So if you look, when we build a space reactor, it's the same as the Earth in a miniature dimension. Receives energies from the universe, and then in chewing it, because it's made in the dimension of field strength of the man, to feed every cell of the man. And in a space as you don't have the physical body, to feed your soul. Your soul receives that, and it does the same thing. It chews it up like a mother to make it digestible to physical dimension when you materially manifest yourself. There is no difference in the structure of the work of the universe. It's the same with the Creator. Creator gives the fields for the creation of universe, but on the feedback from the universe gains the totality of the knowledge with the universal entities within it have gathered, and then he feeds it and he feeds back on. This is why I said many times, when I teach to the universe, not to the man. Because the fields of the knowledge and emotion travels the strength field of the universe, and in process returns back to the Creator, and as the love of the Creator feeds the rest of the created. Now you understand the whole process, slowly, step by step. In our future negotiation in Vienna with the IAEA, we consider IAEA as a point of reference, which soon will become for us a point of negotiation than United Nations. And then in process, we transfer what we call the universal operation of the whole lot to Universal Council. Now you understand everything is set up for the dimension and the direction. Years ago, in a dinner given by the Chinese government, by the invitation of the Chinese foreign minister, we were invited to a dinner where world leaders, ambassadors were present. One of the gentlemen I met was the African member of the United Nations. I can show you his pictures. We have it in our archive. I said, I've never heard of African member of the United Nations. He said, I represent the African continent. I said to him, I already created this. We call it the Earth Council, and a member for the Earth Council for Africa. I explained to him the difference between the Earth member of the African nation is you. You are born in Africa and you concentrate on your prejudice toward African nations. The Earth Council member of the Keshe Foundation is one who has roots some other place, that when it defends for Africa, it defends not just for Africa, but equal with the others. He said, you're too clever. I said, no, I know the wisdom of the work of this man. You understand, we set the structures in advance for upcoming and what is already functionable in the structure. Now, the hardest game for us is to transfer the knowledge that what you know in the matter state is correct. But you have to understand the matter state comes from a bigger state, field, magnetic field energy, which is the universal work. And if you understand this, you understand one cannot exist without the other, and one exists because of the other. Then man learns two languages, two sciences, one in the matter state and one in the energy state, what we call the universal fields. This is that N and O in your amino acid, and the other one is H and C on the other side. And when you put them in orderly manner that it can function between the other, you get the amino acid and you get the man. Now mankind has to learn the next step of the process, that when it travels the span of the universe, you have the hydrogen and a carbon, which is feel the strength of the earth, man created or earth created life, and then the I and C, sorry, H and C, the hydrogen and carbon, which works at the universal level. You still need to learn that part. The carbon in the structure of amino acid is 12. The carbon in the universal field is 14. You have to find the connection. The same, the hydrogen which man is created out of with this amino acid is connected to the oxygen level hydrogen. It's not the same as hydrogen in the universe, but they have a common denominator. You still need to learn this knowledge. In what you call man's world, you have transformers and you have adapters. You plug 120 where the system is 240 volts, and you plug a 240 volt system and it works 120. Man has to learn now not adapter between the universal energy, universal line of communication, universal connection dimension of travel, and the man atmospheric condition of the same. How do you plug into the universal energy carbon 14 and hydrogen of the universe, and then you unplug and plug another way, you become part of the earth, hydrogen and carbon 12. As I said to you, you have a lot to learn, and this teacher has a lot of time. If you listen to the past hour teaching, you will learn so much you never knew, but in fact it's part of you. You decided, your ancestors and your scientists decided to make you ignorant to it, because the fact doesn't change. Just because they hung the guy of the church because he said the earth is not center of the universe, did not work, did it? It actually brought for us, because they've done this, what is the truth. And we found out, yes, he's correct. The truth doesn't change. It's man's understanding which has got to change for him to understand the truth. You got to understand, as I said last week, the new cycle of process has started to teach you, because now we knew the things are about to change. We have to be able to show the next step, otherwise we are stranded. We're still battling, and as I could see the excitement in the hand and shake of the most powerful man supposedly on earth trying to explain, I was standing there and I saw this rocket moving that way, and I said to him, is that your system can come? In a matter of next 6 months, 12 months, we laugh at this talk. I've given guarantees to the Iranian leadership that Iran, within the next 24 months, will land on the moon and Mars. We don't colonize, we take mankind with us to understand more. The technology is complete. And we do it with collaboration with other nations. The same way as I agreed with the Chinese. Chinese research centers has to be able to accept people from outside China. We do the same using marketing in the United States to bring technology in the US, but on the cover of every nation, nationality, and the rest. We do the same with Russia. We will do the same with India. We will do the same with Israel and Saudi Arabia. And we make one nation out of nations on the nation of the knowledge. You can draw as much borders as you like. When it comes to the science, they all work together. One of the most important things for us in the coming days and weeks, with the work with the Office of Iran and IEA, is to show that the nuclear technology of today is something we have to know, because with its knowledge we can open into the dimension of what we call nuclear hydrogen, nuclear carbons, which man does not even have the knowledge of. Without it, without the fields of radiation, without the operational understanding fields of the inner energy sanctums of the universe, man cannot travel the span of the universe. Man cannot feed itself. Man cannot exist. In so many ways, we are ready, after 12 years of creating 5+1 with Obama, to close 5+1 as of today with Trump. As I said to the Iranian leadership, we have nothing more to talk about 5+1 because it's dead and buried. Iran is a nuclear technology nation. We speak on the nuclear, but we speak on the nuclear for a space, not nuclear for destruction. And I ask those of you knowledge seekers who have gained in this knowledge, those of you who work in Russian Space Agency, those of you who work in NASA, those of you who work in different structure of the plasma physics, to introduce yourself to the management of the Keshe Foundation, and we call you to join us in the development of the technology. I go directly to Mr. Head of the operation of the Mars mission, good friend, to abandon NASA and join Keshe Foundation as part of the space development. I called to the head of Russian Space Agency, who was a knowledge seeker, to join us. And the same goes to the Chinese space technology people, who I know some very well, close friends. The new space technology has to be collective knowledge of all of us to bring that change. And Vienna is a good place for it to start. But Iran will be the source of the technology and knowledge an expansion of an opening of the space. We have changed the oil and oil fields, space energy, plasma, and the energy of the universe and the creator. Man has to choose. We stay doldrums of dependency and war, or we go into the prosperity of knowledge and creation and opening of the universe. Man has time till 20th of January till we get a guy who's bent backwards to be rich in money of the man, or we make the whole nation of man rich with the knowledge of the creator. I thank especially the Iranian team and the group appointed by Ayatollah Khamenei to negotiate with us for their non-stop work and their due diligence to be able to bring this to flourish. I thank those who work relentlessly day and night in Iran to make this possible. And they know who they are. We thank them for their work, and especially our Iranian team, who day and night has worked in the past few weeks to make this possible. On the 15th of November 2012, I shook hands with America for technology in exchange for peace. On the 15th of November 2024, we shake hands with the whole of humanity. Technology in exchange for peace. We had to start somewhere. And we had to start with the most advanced nation on earth, which was the United States. Now we are all advanced to be one nation and one state. We go through a break, we come back, and we'll see where we go from today. And hopefully within the next few weeks and months, we see a change in the direction of the knowledge of the man, now that we work directly through nations and governments. And that is all thanks to you in doing the work as one nation, as Keshe Foundation. Rick, would you like to take us to a break? And please don't give us the spaceship in June 2022. We've done that. We took man into space through his soul.
Oh, you don't want that ad? I was going to play that one. Okay, I'll go to a alternate ad on that one.
We already take a man to the space. What's the use of talking about it? That happened before June 2022. Thank you very much.
How about the horizontal enhancement unit?
That's good, because that's still applicable.
Okay, I'll see what I can do here.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Mr. Keshe, for today's teaching. This is the 564th Knowledge Seekers Workshop here on Thursday, November 14th. And in the second half, people here will have an opportunity to ask questions of Mr. Keshe. The attendees can put up their virtual hands, and then we can acknowledge you to be able to open your microphone. And you can also put questions in the Q&A or the chat in the Zoom, and also in the chat in YouTube. Okay, let me see if I can find the correct ads here. Be a little bit more of a challenge than I expected, but bear with me a minute or two. Okay, I think I can work it here. Okay, we'll be back in a short time as soon as I get things lined up here. Okay, we'll see you shortly. Bear with me a minute. I'm having a technical difficulty with my video. There we go.
The new Vertical Enhancement Spaceship Unit. A plasma space technology to prepare humanity for transportation and transmutation in deep space. Essential processes are embedded to prevent mutations and psychosomatic conditions during deep space travel. This new system is designed to support upper body conditions, especially of the lungs and intestines, and can be targeted specifically for each organ. When inside the Vertical Enhancement Spaceship Unit, the body experiences balance in totality, enabling it to correct and rebalance all the fields within itself. The new Vertical Enhancement Spaceship Unit, a dimension in health and transportation never seen before.
Okay, we're back again at the 564th Knowledge Seekers Workshop. And because it's the second half, as I mentioned, we will have a Q&A part, and we do have some Q&As already lined up. But of course, Mr. Keshe usually has something he would like to say before we engage into that. Is that true for today as well, Mr. Keshe?
Does it ever change? We are actually getting ready for many things in Keshe Foundation, and hopefully, as we said before, Keshe Foundation and its knowledge will take a new dimension internationally, again through the work of the Keshe Foundation in Iran and our Iranian colleagues. And I thank the Observatory of Iran for appointing wise people who understand the need of the nation and the position of the new technology. I'm sure we'll see new dimensions and new, what we call, ways of doing things, where grace and what I call hope will take the place of war and destruction and everything else we've seen with the behavior of man. I have a small piece of news for you, knowledge seekers. You've been waiting for this for a long time. Many of you who ordered and bought this material, that finally you see the, what we call, the cosmic ray material. You finalize the structure, and this is what you're going to receive in a beautiful package. And in a way, this shows the beauty of what you will see. When you hold the box, that's why you see it took us a long time to find it. It looks like cosmos, it looks like structure of no dimension, but carbon-14 in reflection of the universal colors. It took a long time to find this that represents actually what's inside it. When you hold this material in your hand, and as I explained, we connect you to systems with us, you'll find out the processes like this is a cornerstones of the space travel. And in the next few weeks, you start receiving this. Those of you who ordered, you'll start receiving, because this is not even totally finished. It still needs a little bit of tweaking. Underneath of it will bear the emblem of the KF SSI and what it is. And this represents the true knowledge of man. And what in the future, this and the processes like this, elements like this, will be used to connect you to the dimension of the position. Then you learn through different process. In a way, by holding this in your hand and connection to our systems, we can transfer you anywhere in the universe. Systems like this will be built inside the body of the man. A system like this, with its energy, will be brought into closest proximity of what we call the soul of the man. You will understand the reason for it in the future. But it took us about a year to get this to this point that it absolutely has to be the way it is. And this is what you will receive. If you have two of them in your hand, then you understand. Not two are the same. None of the two units. It's been built, especially if you see, not sunk into the box, but there you can pick it up with two fingers. And when you receive it, do not play with it. Do not touch it unless you know exactly what you're doing. This is not a toy. And it's not for children. Even those who are adults and they think they understand, but in essence they're children of God. Try to understand what this material embeds in it and what this material carries with it. If you hold in your hand and you feel the energy of it, it means you're matured. If you hold in your hand, you feel nothing, it means you still have not connected to your soul. You will understand when you receive it, when you understand, when you mature to enjoy it and understand it. We promised you, it took us a long time, and I think this is exactly what I was looking for. The color irradiates with the energy it emits out of itself and the box you carry. And how this will change humanity in time to come. We gave you a promise, as usual. I've never known a company so as bad as Keshe Foundation in delivery. We are late by years, but when we deliver the message of Creator and the way it should be. You don't have time. You've got 80 years and then you say goodbye if you leave this physical body. I've been here for thousands of years. 1 or 2 years is nothing in a way, so I'm patient. And now you see, for the first time, Keshe Foundation, start putting materials which allows man to become man of universe, understand the energies of universal fields, and understand the materials which are not created out of the matter state of the man, but out of the energy fields of the universe. And in a way, some of you, when you hold this in your hand, is the day of judgment for you to understand your maturity. We promised. We are late by a couple of years, but that's not much important because now the material, his presentation, and his work is the work of the universe, and you will understand more as we start. Those of you like you use your headphones, the cosmic ray bundles and the rest, how to use this, the way you use your discs, how to use this. Those of you who have a disc with the mirrors with a hole in it, try to learn how to use this ball in the center of it. And then you will see the work of the Creator in your hand. So those of you who bought the disc with a hole, the new mirrors, put each one of these in the center. Make sure it doesn't fall. Make sure these things ever fall, touch the ground. Never let them touch a table. You take it from the box, return it back, because the box gradually builds its own cocoon to protect this. And then in the teachings of January, February, I start teaching you how to use this. And then you see how you transfer and transmit. The production of these is very hard. It takes a long time to produce each one of these and then they load it up and then making it the way it is. And at least we start getting on with it, and hopefully by January, February, you start receiving them, because boxes now has to be completed. The balls have to be completed, and as you know, Keshe Foundation produces 1 ball a week, the way we work. We've got a lot of these on order, so you can imagine you might receive it by end of the next century. But at least we deliver. We start delivering. And where it goes, those of you who bought home enhancement units, I think those should be going out, start going out in the next week or 2 or whatever, if our team puts it all together. Next few weeks, or after 3, 4 years, we start shipping those out. And hopefully we'll see what comes and how we can progress to bring materials which connects you to the space travel and universal energies and fields that you can work with and in a way live and exist and enjoy the time. I've been told by our people in the background not to forget to tell you that the Keshe Foundation has upgraded the pictures in the what they call the shop, and they have put Christmas and what we call New Year bundles in a special offers they put on. That one of them, I don't know if Ray can show, any of the gel packs which they've listed on the website, any three you choose is I think for €99, and there's a new material comes, which is the backbone. Will come partially with the use of the technology in the food gases, which Keshe Foundation will launch and has launched. I think that you can buy vegetarian and other things. There are 4 different categories which comes out, you have seen, and the Christmas bundles which they put out. This is the usual things we know for past years, and this year there is no exception. If you go through the system, you see new promotion, new products, and bundles, the latest delivery time, if we can manage to meet the delivery time, which is very unusual Keshe Foundation, what we do our best. Those of you who are hoping to be with us next Friday, I would like you to ask you to bring with you your favorite fruit on the table. Before the start of the session, bring with you the apple, banana, whatever odd material you enjoy. If you have a cosmic bundle, you have the communication bundle, bring with you that as well. And we start seeing how we can change things for you. And it'll be a new experience, and see how we can get you to taste, to eat the apple without actually chewing it. This is part of the process of the Knowledge Seekers program. We would like some of you to bring honey. If you have, bring lavender with you, which we try to see if we can smell. These are the processes which we start transferring energies and what we call content without killing. Please don't bring any sticks. Not this time, not for next week. And then bring with you a book which you believe in. If you're a Muslim, bring with you a Quran. If you're Christian, bring with you a Bible. If you believe in the path of Moses, bring with you a Torah. And see how, through the process of the next 3 months, not only we feed you to feel the taste of the food, but the one which misguided your physicality, your soul, in the dimension of the word of the Creator, where you'll understand the true essence and the fruit of messengers, and not the fallacies of time. You have to feed the man both ways, the soul and the body. Exactly the way the Christ said, this is my body, this is my blood. Where the blood is in a way significance of the soul, and not physical blood. And man never understood. But the bread was manifestation of the physicality of the man. And then now we know the blood is creator of the soul, soul of physicality, which touches the soul of the man. But that time he could not say so. But now that you become knowledge seekers, you understand the symbolism and the significance of his talk. But the blood of the man is connected to the soul of the man and soul of his creation. Bring with you both. See if we can feed both your soul and your physicality. Any questions?
Okay, great. Thank you, Mr. Keshe. Let me see, what do we have here? We did have a hand up earlier, but the hands seem to have come back down. If those people still have questions, you can put your hand up again and we can acknowledge you. Okay, let's look at our Q&A here. We have a question from George, who says, hello, Mr. Keshe. Last week you spoke about concussion and other brain issues, and you suggested to use the pain pen with the opposite side of the tip on the skull. In Keshe Foundation store, there's a promotion at pain pens 3+1. Would it be better to take it in order to better and faster plasma balance concussions, since it has to be a plasma flow in order to achieve results?
You can do so, but you have to understand when you have a concussion, you already have a plasma field. You can transfer it across or you can absorb it by one, but don't use all three. Years ago, we did an experiment with transferring bone out of the body, and we actually physically picked it up on the skull. You got to understand, you can do a lot of these things. We understand the process, but if you do such a thing using two, make sure they're on the same line, and make sure you understand the use of it. There are different ways of using it, different ways of expanding the knowledge in a way of the use of paint pen, and especially paint pads. If I get chance one day, I try to explain to you how to use the paint pads and paint pen in conjunction with each other very effectively. But I'll try to find a way to teach and to explain how it works. Any other question?
Okay, George has a further question here. It says, for an average home user, the use of a foam helmet like the ones cyclists have, with the pain pens inserted in different areas of the skull, is recommended, since you said that the pain pens should not be held in your hands. So he's suggesting a
You
helmet.
can come up with any solution for it. Anyway, you have to create a circulation flow. This is the whole, what we call, understanding of the technology. Why do you use it? Why, if you put the helmet on, then what's the reason? Then fair. And this is important to understand.
So he asks, how long would a session last typically, and or how many sessions a day would be best for the plasma balance?
I cannot tell you, because this depends on the condition, what you're talking about, case by case.
Right.
We developed this paint pen on a specific way of use, and it carries huge amount of energy, field transfer. And the first batch, I'll explain this before, had to be changed. If you look at the tip of this thing, is different than the rest of it, because the energy inside was so much that it was melting the tip. So we had to change this. If you ever tried something very interesting for those of you to understand the power of the ganses, you've seen these glasswork, which you see sometimes in some craft shops or in some markets. They sell it as an artwork, where there is a pipe inside a glass tube, and you can put different color things in it. And usually when you fill it in, the what do you call it, the glass is there. And because I've done this experiment, I know exactly what happens. Initially, I'll show you what it means, because you got knowledge, because it shows you how powerful these paint pens are. If you see in the market, I'll try to get a bigger one, they usually sell the glass jars like this, and usually they are like twisted tubes, and sometimes this tube is connected to the bottom, and this tube, what you do, you try to, in my useless way, show you something. You fill
I'm
it
not
up.
sure if we're seeing, or at least I'm not seeing any image.
I can see it on my board because I can
Oh.
see it on other iPhones.
It's on the whiteboard. Okay, there, I see it there now. Okay, good.
You see it
Thanks.
now. Okay. So you fill up this material inside with colors, and sometimes they tell you to do ice or whatever, but it's a decoration. If you fill this up with ganses and leave it there and observe it after some time, few months, you'll find out that the glass somehow opens up at the bottom. And your material, literally, if you have ganses in it, you'll find your ganses at the bottom of the glass. It's very much like your pen. The energy inside so concentrated that it changes the material structure of the glass, and it leaks. All of them do. I've tried 2 or 3, and this will leak after time. The same as what we had in a paint pen. The energy in the pen is so, what do you call it? It's so concentrated that it literally melts the tip. Those of you who use the pen on this end, if you use it too long, you start seeing that it will leak. It has to leak, but the energy will try to escape. Try to keep your pen always on the side. Any other question?
Okay, we do have the presentation with Raphael and the Brazilian crew. So perhaps it'd be a good time for that, and there'll be a couple of other questions as well after that.
Yes, I stopped sharing. Go ahead. That's,
All right.
I don't know if in his talk he gives you a background to the conference. Have you? Does he do that?
Yeah, somewhat. Let me get that ready here.
This is a conference which the Keshe Foundation Brazil was involved in last weekend. A 2-day conference. They gave a lecture for half an hour now at the beginning, and they had a small stand representing the Keshe Foundation and the technology. When you run things like this, if we know, or we knew about this one, what with Brazil we have a problem, we can send you promotion materials sometimes, and sometimes products that it allows you to function and in a way to promote the technology. You can go. You want me to go mute?
Yes, I can read the what Raphael has sent regarding the presentation. So this is the first image. We have, I think, 6 images, and it goes like this. Last weekend was the Alternative Therapies and New Technologies Conference in Rio, Brazil. And KF Brazil gave a talk on plasma technology on the first day. Our team had a booth where we displayed different ganses, had some magraphs, and showed some pain pens. We can see the image of the booth here. See what the next image is. I'll get that up now. Oops, wrong image. Go. And Raphael goes on. They show some pain pens, and then we set up a 5-cup stacker unit, like what we saw in the Linz Conference Center, where people could stand in between and feel the fields. We see someone standing in between in the background here on the left, experiencing the fields. It was a wonderful experience for all the knowledge seekers, and they had the chance to share what they understood about plasma with the public. They actually paid for the booth out of their own money. It was a beautiful example of the ethos of the Keshe Foundation. Raphael gave the presentation on Saturday to about 70 people in the hall. Many people were surprised that such a technology was existing, and they knew nothing about it. In the talk, we explained the situation with beautiful people, and one lady came up afterwards and with so much gratitude thanked us because now she understood what the true condition of her grandmother was and how they mistreated her grandmother. It was a transformation for her. Let's see if I can get another image up here now. Here we have a better example of someone standing in the fields. Okay, it goes on. During the entire weekend, we had about 200 people come by our booth and talk to us to find out more about the technology. Many people became very emotional, and several had tears in their eyes to find out more about the Keshe Foundation technology and work. And many people had powerful experiences standing between the stacker units. One man stayed in there for 30 minutes and didn't want to come out. Many people commented that they could feel the energy of our booth from a far distance. And knowledge seekers said they felt Mr. Keshe's presence with us, and especially during the presentation. Let me get another image out here. Keshe Foundation was given the Humanity Award for our work and the impact we are having on society, along with other organizations. We would like to thank all the knowledge seekers who were with us and everyone who sent their best intentions for the success of our participation in this event. I'll get another image up here. During the Friday public teaching of Keshe Foundation Brazil tomorrow, we will talk more about our participation in this conference, and everyone is invited to join us. Okay, something has happened to my mouse, which can no longer select anything on my screen. Oh, well, we might be stuck with Raphael's happy face here for a bit. I'm going to try a couple things, but I don't understand what's going on. Bear with me a second here. This is
Maybe you need a cat to get your mouse moving.
I tried turning it off and on, and now it's totally missing. I think maybe this mouse needs a little bit of a booster shot here. Let me see if I can engage my other mouse or something.
While Rick is trying to find the mouse working, it's nearly exactly 5 years since we've been to Brazil. And it's amazing what Rafael and the Keshe Foundation team in Brazil have achieved in teaching and literally spreading the knowledge. And we wish them all the best. They're most probably the most active group in their own way in public. And they operate a very deep way within Brazil. We're still waiting, I think. We lost Rick. I think he went out to reboot and come back. It's interesting to see how the work of the Keshe Foundation is taking shape, and in a way the foundation we laid over past 25 years now start what we call flourishing and working. But it works underneath more than on the surface. We used to be active, to be seen, to be done, to be doing. Now those kind of work has done is what we call has served its purpose, and has become part of the Keshe Foundation international work. In the coming time we'll see more of it. We'll see more expansion in technology, as I said. We'll see most probably in the coming weeks and months how we change the structure of the work. As I said before, we don't touch the nuclear industry. Nuclear industry will stay as it is. It needs to be understood. It needs to be researched into. It needs to be explored, because we have to understand the other side of the work of the what we call energy aspects of it. Because to me, as a nuclear physicist, nuclear technology has two dimensions. Like man is a schizophrenic. One application of the nuclear is on matter state energy, or whatever they call it, in weapons, and we might need it in the space one day, and we thank our ancestors that they created a nuclear warhead. Maybe we need to use it in a specific given thing to open a crack and nut somewhere in the space, as I say. But understanding the other side of it as an energy, universal energy, Nuclear plasma technology is a backbone of the creation, and we have to understand it. And when we have its matter state, we can understand the conversion of it. And nuclear industry of today, the way we work with it, will become, in a way, part of the future nuclear industry. But the plasma nuclear is totally fundamentally different than the matter state nuclear. And many of us in the coming time will have to understand the difference, has to recognize the implication and application of each one on its own and in combination of the two. Nuclear reactors used in or planned and at the moment used for even space excursions are not the way that the universe works. And we've been taught fundamentally wrong, and we followed that wrong way to apply it, and we missed the boat, as we say in English. The boat is the nuclear science of the creation. The nuclear, in our terminology, is transfer of energy as a package, directed, coming from a center point, what we call nucleus. This can be a reactor, this can be a black hole, this can be a star. And when our scientists understand it, then we reach a different point. As I said in my talk last week or the week before, I was talking to one of Iran's leading people in the oil industry a couple of weeks ago, and I explained to him the difference between the energy as you burn and energy inside an atom, inside what I call inherent energy. Maybe we call it the inertia energy. And he's one of the very few scientists who understood and grasped what is to come. We can burn the fuel, or we can use the field of the fuel. And once man understands how to use the fields of the fuel, that's the access to universal field energy. And gradually, we come to understand how and the way we use one for the other, or we use the two in conjunction with each other. And in a way, we learn to use the soul and solar physicality and physicality even in the industry. I'm sure in the coming time, we will see new technologies, emergence of new industries, where the energy will be transferred, and then at the point of need, it will be transferred into the matter state. The way we use now, let's say, petrol tankers. We transfer the energy in the tanker to a point, a fuel station, and then we tap into it and we use it to run the car when we feed it into car. In the future, we will have more or less the same structures where we tap in, we buy preset energy packages. Like we go to the fuel station, we buy diesel fuel or a gas, because it's converted. It's very easy to see this, that in the coming time, we buy even through apps, conversion and transfer of energies. Some of the knowledge seekers are already working on these apps. And so you transfer the energy of an apple through its app to you without eating the apple. And fundamentally, we are in that position to be able to do this. Scientifically, we have already achieved it, but we have to understand, talking about energy and energy transfers, and understanding of energy transfers is fundamental to the work of the universe. And what we see inside is how far with our knowledge goes to understand more in adding this knowledge to. If you look at this cosmic bundle, the what we call energy, the matters inside it is no difference than this one. If you remember this is the way gases settle inside the reactor. And we see this, and you see a little dot at the bottom. This is the Keshe Foundation reactor. We referred to this some times ago. And this is the most misguided man on this planet at the moment, Netanyahu, using the Keshe Foundation and the structure of the reactor of the Keshe Foundation as Iran development of the new nuclear weapon. Misrepresentation of the knowledge. And then those who are naive, they go for it. You have to understand, once we explain, for example, this structure, what you see in the green, to the nuclear officials in how it was represented by Netanyahu, they were shocked. They understood how they were misled, but they couldn't tell that, they couldn't say that we use the energy this way and a misguided guy makes it this way. And this is the picture of Netanyahu when he lied to the world. But now we have a nuclear truth centrifuge and other processes, and actually showing a Keshe Foundation and space reactor. And this is how the technology will progress. A man uses it to create war. Keshe Foundation brings it to create peace and what we call prosperity. Rick, you're back with us. Can you hear me, or can you join us?
Yes, I can hear you. Yes, and I'm back. That was a very strange complete system crash on my computer. Then I had a really hard time restarting and everything. It's worst I've ever seen, I think. So I'm not sure what happened there, but
you have to claim your host position if you can.
Yeah, I think you'll have to make me host, and then I'll make you
I
co-host.
cannot do that. I'm trying to.
Okay.
Let's see. I'm trying to hand over to you with a host position, but the system just allows me to mute and unmute you. Very
Okay.
strange.
Well, I think I can.
You should be able to claim back your host position.
Yeah, it won't let me do it from my end. I think you have to do it since you're host.
Yeah, it's okay. We'll
Maybe.
keep it that way because I cannot do it at trying. It does not allow me at all. Somehow.
Okay, well, maybe it'll jog itself as we
go on. Okay, go ahead.
Maybe if I do some sharing, it might.
Can you share?
Let me try to share here, yeah.
I'm trying to come out that you can share. Yeah, you can do. You're taking over the screen.
Good.
Yeah, you still got the capability to do. Okay, go ahead.
Okay, we had, before I was so rudely interrupted there.
By the computer and the mouse?
Yes, the cat and mouse games that are being played in the background, probably. Yeah. In any case, I was going to show the picture here for the Friday meeting for the Brazilian public teaching in the Portuguese language with translation in English. And that's Friday, that is tomorrow at 11 p.m. Central European Time. And you can go to Zoom ID 760-635-481 And apparently you can use the insignia on the screen to zero in with your iPhone and take you there automatically, I believe. Such is the wonders of our modern technology. So, what else can we say about that? That's with Rafael and the Brazilian Keshe Foundation team. So folks in the public are welcome to attend that. And I guess that's all we can say. It was a very successful convention that the Brazilians had, and we congratulate Rafael on his success with being awarded the prizes that they were awarded as well. Okay, well, we have a hand up, Mr. Keshe, here with Dean, so perhaps we can let Dean go ahead.
Thank you. Thank you, Rick. Hello, Mr. Keshe. I have a question for you that regarding the past session that we had with the transmutation tests and the knowledge seekers that were present. I experienced something in that session. It was what I've spoken about before, where I was starting to have some remote viewing sort of situations and flashes and all sorts of things going on. But then I came out of it and I was sat in a position where I had a device that I've made, and this has a number of magravs underneath it and around it. And I also had a lot of ganses. I was holding some GANs, and then I did what you was talking about, where you said about holding the headset in the hands, and we had some other headsets around our head. In that experience, first of all, there wasn't a lot going on. It seemed to me, I mean, it was the same I had before. And then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, I got this incredible sensation of a light coming on. I explained it in the One Planet, One Nation, One Race, where I said that you see the sun on the horizon, you see it settle and you see it go down. Well, it felt like I was in the sun. I was part of the sun. It was like I'm not, as I said on One Planet, I'm not claiming anything, but it seemed to be like an illumination. It seemed like like a very bright golden light came on, and it went on, and then literally within 1 second it went off. So it was on off, and it was like a light bulb being switched on and off. And I just wondered if any other knowledge seekers, or if you can explain what possibly that may have been.
You know my usual say, I wasn't there, I don't know. You did the trip.
I know you. I know.
We expect, even in teachings I've said, we expect when you see the light, you pass a transmutation line. And different colors state different strength of the field. This is why people who die usually talk about going to a very bright light. We go through this light every time we dream. But don't forget, we dream continuously 24 hours a day. But when we change the scene of a dream, let's say you're dreaming about your cat now, and then the scene changes, you dream about being in America. We see this flash too, because it's a transmutation. And but our brain has learned to, what do you call it, to block it out. And with the process which we go through the Friday sessions, you are aware of it, so you recognize it and you see it. And this is, I explained this, flashing is very much like, now it's banned on the American television and the rest of the world, that the advertising was not the way you see advertising, 10-second advertising. They used to flash just one frame out of so many frames, like a Coca-Cola. And people literally got up and went to the fridge and took a Coca-Cola. There was no advertising, no talk. One flash, one frame. And our brain sees that frame, that flash going through, because it's a transfer of energy and is interaction of two fields. You go from one position to another. We don't see it unless you are aware of, or you become aware of it and you see that flash. And this is what you see. If you go to sleep and then suddenly find yourself, I went to a party and grandma was there and grandpa was there, there were already party going on, and you just notice you're in, you were in from the beginning of the party. Your physical body was so busy that they block it out. Now you call yourself sleep. Now the party is what I call open for you to observe in the physical dimension, which you call it the dream. I went to grandma and they had a party and everybody is there. When I went in, you were already in a party. But now that the body has gone to sleep, or you are in a condition of understanding that the soul has, has already been in the party, then you remember, you understand, oh, I just went to the party, but the party started 3 hours ago and everybody is there, you were there too. But you physically were blocked by your physical energy to be part of it or remember it. And every time we cross this line, we see the flash, but our brain has registered, ignore it. Does not register, you see a light. We see it when we die because it's a prolonged process. It lasts seconds. Because it's a slow energy of transfer, you're just passing through. Is not being part of. It's a two different conditions. So many knowledge seekers always said, it's that point of birth. You cry, you hear. Usually when you become more familiar to it, like a sound barrier, you hear a boom, you hear that transfer. It should be very normal for a lot of you, once you get used to it. And we try to emphasize and teach this more and more. We have technologies, we have systems now that we can separate energies and interact energies, and you become more aware of these energies than what you see. And many of knowledge seekers in the last week's session had amazing experiences. Amazing experiences. And I can show you something very interesting from last week session, which is interesting at a point when, because we do a lot of work in the background while you're in these sessions, and we observe a lot of things. It's interesting to see what happened to you lot in one session, and it's amazing how it happened and how much we controlled it. I try to download this, and then I try to read you this part of this session last week. If you were in it, we asked, can you physically see yourself with the one you love and can touch physically, feel your environment? And interesting enough, this is what we saw and how you reacted at that time, exactly that time, to this question. This is the interaction of your soul, and it lasted 3 minutes because then we changed the question. And this is how you, as knowledge seekers, when we asked you that question, immediately reacted. You remember the question? And you can see after, when the question changed, how your soul, even the energy of the system, crushed all in. Is love. It's a time to give and to, in a way, receive, because when you have a loved one, you feel that they have the same with you. And that's 3 minutes lasting. And then you understand how your soul operates. The green is your soul. And then you see the dimension of physicality and the soul of physicality beneath. When we change this question, you see immediately the spike starts. And none of you have any wire connection with us. You're all through the world of internet and mobile telephone system. It's interesting because now we observe, which we didn't have it last year, but we observe more now, that many of you, when you come into these sessions, you already have your headsets with you, your cosmic ray bundles, units, and whatever. You connect to our system. We see you connecting till we do something, and then we bring you all to zero, and then we start. The 5 or 10 minutes before the session starts, you are all keen people. We will connect to us. We don't need to run the session anymore. This is what I said, very soon we bring the cosmic rays communication bundles communicating with each other. You put you in one bundle, we put you as a instruction of the soul, and then we create mayhem with you. This is the evidence of it. The minute the 3 minute starts to that space gap, it goes from the left to right. And the question was very simple. Can you physically see yourself with the one you love?
Mr. Keshe, sorry to interrupt you. Can I just quickly say something? Because I didn't actually see these questions because I wasn't watching the screen, so I didn't actually see these questions that were put forward, and they weren't spoken. So I didn't interact with it that way. So there's some direct feedback that obviously the soul must have experienced this, what the question was, but I didn't see this. I didn't know about this until today that you say it. Well, that's not true. I actually did read it afterwards, but not at the moment, not in the moment.
Yeah, but don't forget, people see it.
Yeah.
People, because us talking interrupts. We put everything on the screen in writing, and people watch it. And has a majority because we see from the graphs, from the data. And so you understand how things work, how you work, how the whole process will take us to next step. The process will change as I said, once we start delivery of these cosmic materials the way it is, your experiences will change drastically. But you have to remember that this is all part of the process of learning. And we have to learn, we have to understand, and we have to comprehend the process of the work, and in which way we comprehend it, we understand our own position. We have people who came or had a feeling to touch the people who passed away, and they could feel them, they could feel their presence. And it's important that we step by step change and understand about ourselves and nothing else. Our own capabilities which we denied. And this is one of them.
Mr. Keshe, it's interesting that it almost felt like it was so quick and it took me by surprise. I really wasn't expecting it because I had no expectation, as you've been teaching for a long time. And I really went in with an open this time. I always come to give. I always come to help the others and to give to the others, whatever it is they need. And I don't really ask for anything for myself. I never do. And as I said, I had no expectation, and I just was present. And it took me by surprise how quickly it just suddenly went on, and it's like full of light, and then it went off. Is that what will happen, if that grows or that becomes more? Will that is that a transmutation position where you can then suddenly come back into a physical form in a different way? Because I came straight back into my, I was very aware of my body, almost instantly afterwards. How will that work in the future going forward? How will that transition?
You understand both positions. You understand? I explain this in a different way. It's like when you jump in a pool, you know which part of you is in the water and which part of you is above the water. By experience. It's like, when you go to these heated swimming pools, which have access to outside in the winter, your head and your shoulder, eyes up, and the body is warm underneath. You're aware of both conditions. And this is how we have to become. But let's put it this way, the head up part is your energy dimension, and your physical part is a part which is in the warm water. You're aware of another dimension of fields. We got to live the life and understand it, and then it becomes very easy. You can't move the head and shoulder, which is above the water, if you don't get the legs and arms moving underneath. So the head follows because the physical part is pulling it. And you are aware of both. And this is how life is. We exist, our head is our soul, and the physicality is our body. And then one carries the other one, and they're always connected, doesn't matter what environment you go to. You might keep the body in the water, and then suddenly be sunshine, you enjoy the sun. And you transfer that energy, that emotion of pleasure of the heat to the rest of the body. And you feel it both. There's no difference. You just got to learn that we live continuously in a physical dimension and the energy dimension. And each one has its own line of communication.
So, Mr. Kesh, sorry to interrupt you again. So, Mr. Kesh, when I experienced that precise that moment, and the other knowledge seekers are experiencing whatever they want, they're the captain of their ships, and they're on a flight, and they're seeing all different things and feeling sensations and things, and we're all having different experiences. That the soul is, in charge and is doing all these wonderful things. but we're all experiencing something so dramatically different. And yet on the graph, or what you see is a constant, is something that is equal to everybody as a totality of one.
In a way, yes, because we have to. We have to be aware of the realities of facts and position and condition. How we see things in the real working dimension is a part of the game, because you didn't read another part of it, which was very, very interesting for us. And when I was observing it, I put a question directly to you lot, who some of you were reading. Look at this one, then you understand. And I tell you the question. I said, can any of you look around and see me near you, or feel my presence with you? And then, if you can see me or touch me, then you should feel and see the others who are near me. Interesting. This is very interesting data and a graph for you lot, because I explained to you something very simple. And this is the time when I showed you the picture before.
Recording in progress.
What is interesting is these pictures, which you understand how much we see things which you don't see. This is the picture I just showed you. When you love someone emotionally, you can be there, whatever. You see the green light? Green line? Which is your soul. But look at this. When you're supposed to see me and touch me, look at what happened to the yellow line, and the green line goes. You go physical, because we want to touch it. You see the yellow line takes over. Both horizontal and vertical, you see the change. Because you go from a physical dimension to feel, to touch, because I put a word in there, to touch me, to feel me. So you have to become physical. So we knew you lot are searching. Where here, we said, if you feel your loved one, love is giving, so it's operation of the soul. And you see the soul line above. And now you see how it changes. The next question. So we know the difference between our physical life and our soul life. And the question was set deliberately this way. When you do see it, maybe you are aware of it, that's why you saw the line. You went from the transfer from one to another. This is one question, the one you love, which involves your soul. This is one question, becomes the physicality. If you see me, touch me. And you see here how close the green line is to the center line. And you see how the yellow line is above. And how far is above? Full back of physicality. I wonder how many of you open your hand, your eyes and hands trying to touch, or even your eyes closed. Because you have to change. This is how we live. This is our energy side, the soul side. This is your physical side. Our system cannot lie. And these questions puts it directly into position. When we give you the energy level of you understanding yourself, and then we bring you to physical dimension. The question was very simple, and it couldn't be simpler. If you can see me or touch me. So the question was, how many of you saw? And he went physically to touch. In the next sessions, we show you the power of love in a different way. And then, how many of you wanted to see or feel the others which were the same touching me? Because you have to be physically present to touch, to feel that. And this technology, this system we set up, it's so amazing. It's so amazing. If you understand the power of it, you understand the interpretation of it. And it's so simple. Next time, and the times after, we bring you to see. I'm planning on moving a lot of you knowledge seekers, but we don't announce it beforehand, to be in the Oval Office. We know how to do it, but you have to learn your way. The way you saw the light is so the way you see. And be able to be seen by the American president. I have a reason I'm going to do this. It's not magical. We don't announce it beforehand. And we wait for the White House to announce it. There's a reason for this, and this is to show the man does not need the intimidation. It's like when these world leaders speak, we see their soul, we understand what's going on. And we have to gradually understand our own potentials this way. And these teachings, these sessions are for that purpose. And some of you get the emotions, you get the feelings, you get. And it's interesting, you say, I didn't read, but most probably if you track it down where you saw the light, it must be around some of these question times.
I'm sure it would be, Mr. Keshe. And one thing I'd like to say, Mr. Keshe, just to add to what you've been saying, it was when in that moment that it happened, oh, I sensed it. There was no way that you could create any mayhem or anything because you were part of another structure where you could not harm. There's no physical matter. There was no ability to even think in the wrong way. It was an impossibility. It was complete peace and fulfillment, totality. And there's nothing else. There really isn't anything else.
Time will tell as we learn. What we're trying to teach here with the children of Mitra will be a natural process. We go to, let's say, New York in our dream, we go to grandma. When you speak to children of Mitra, they go to space, they go to the moon, they go to the stars, they tell you what the stars are, how they shapes and whatever. Their dreams, what you call dreams, the existence of the soul and dimension of it is very much different than us in this present cycle. They jump from one star to another, they go and explore the content of a star or whatever, and to us it's all gibberish, but to them they are of the essence of the soul of the creator. And they don't go through these flashes because they understand the transition. When you speak to children of Mitra, even many of you as you become mothers, One of the things you will see is that your child is in your arm, you're holding your child, and she most probably wakes up from into the physical dimension, and she asks for mom. The eyes are open, but she doesn't see you. And she cries, I want mom. And you don't understand. You jump, you shout, you cuddle, you kiss, I'm here, mom. She can't hear it because she is in the dimension of the soul. In the dimension, she's with the mother of the creator, the creation. Many of you will experience this, that your child in your arm does not recognize you because she's still in the dimension of soul traveling this part of the universe. You will experience this. And then you say, why can I reach it? Because you are to a dimension of physical attached. The knowledge is beyond our knowledge because they see different aspects of creation than we do, because they are connected, they are created out of the fields of the universe, not the physical dimension. We put egg and sperm to create, then create the soul. They are the souls which, for manifestation, and manifest through the womb of the mother in a physical dimension. It's opposite dimension. Many of you, as you understand how to create children of Mitra through the soul first, would experience this inevitably, 100%. Where your child wakes up, asks for you, and for minutes and long time, whatever you say, she cannot hear, but she's got an open eye. And she still asks for you. As I said, slowly, slowly, we open the dimension because it's like teaching how the mothers, once you're faced with this, how to handle it. You always ask them, were you with Mitra? Were you with the mother of creation? They always answer you yes. The way we teach mothers how to be parents with a physical dimension, we have to teach our mothers to handle the children of Mitra. Otherwise, as the Raphael said, the lady understood about her grandmother years later. We have to know now. You take them to doctors and they make them all sorts. But you have to understand that I created this child through the love of the creator, through the soul, not physicality. 100% of you will go through this experience. Those of you who understand the creation of the soul and create the children of Mitra. And
sorry,
this,
Mr. Keshe, again. I'm just quickly. I know what you're speaking about, and it's so profound that when you start to realize what you're really saying, you really comprehend it. It makes the fallacy of taking a rocket and going out into space ridiculous. When if you go in and go in within inside yourself, there is the space, there is the everything that you speak about. We've been going the wrong way.
we are not going the wrong way. This is the wrong way to put it. We are going the right way. We have to understand the two dimensions. And we have to understand, it's like you decide to go on a holiday. Yeah?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And you experience that holiday, the sun, the ocean, the sea, and the rest of it. Nobody else did. You chose. You could have gone to the North Pole and go to the snow. This is us who have to understand Both exist, the warmth and the cold, physicality and the energy side. And both are real. It's not a mistake. We never misunderstand. Our only problem is we don't understand that we have two. This is the biggest problem. And you got to understand, now you call them the beautiful people, they have 2 or 3 in one physical dimension. Then you have to understand the composition of the fields, how they interact. I am sure as more and more children of Mitra are created, us at the beginning will have a problem with it as in the physical dimension, and gradually we start learning from them. They become our guidelines, they become our, what do you call it, guardians, to take us through it. And you only understand when you come to this point, when you hold a child of Mitra. They stand out even in public. People recognize them, the difference, the beauty. And they carry that with them. And the, what we call a dream in the physical dimension, maybe out of one night in 100 nights happens to them. The rest of 99, they're traveling the span of universe, because that's where they came from. That's their home. Physicality has dimensions. Energy side has no dimensions. Lights and interaction with the fields where you feel at home is different than coming on Earth and seeing a dog being hit or having a car crash or somebody shouting at you. The way we prefer to be on the physical side and feel all these things in our dream, they prefer to be on the other side and don't feel the pains of the physical dimension. And I'm sure many of you, once you learn how to create the children of Mitra and you have that with you, then you understand exactly what I'm talking about. And as I said, there's a lot of teaching still needs to be done. It's not like you send your child to school or you just get married and become parents. Parenting, parents of the children of Mitra needs to be guided to not misunderstand the children in the confusion they'll have between the physical life and the energy life. Otherwise, we again put children of Mitra in mental institute out of our own lack of understanding. And this cannot happen. This time around cannot happen. That's why we educate that you expect it, you see, you appreciate the beauty, and you talk to another mother somewhere else, and then she tells you about this. Oh, the children of Mitra. You bring them together, you see how they play. They play different than the human race. Because they have experience traveling between the stars and they know different value. It's like you taking a child from the city with a Nintendo and go to a village in Africa, they don't know what it is, and give them the console. They can't do anything because they have no idea of it. And children of Mitra have access to that console. And the children of the man are in that person in that village. Never seen one, doesn't know what it is and how he's got to play with. It's our job as universal teachers to teach mankind how to handle children of Mitra. As we will see more and more of them. And it's a gift given to the parents who really understand the process. You know when you create a child of Mitra. Your physical body goes through a process different than normal conception. Slowly, slowly we teach. But man has to understand. Any other question?
Just quickly, one last little thing I'd like to say, Mr. Keshe, is the knowledge and sharing the knowledge. I have noticed this, and recently, and many times this has happened in certain moments, but very recently I spoke with a few people, and you share the knowledge. You give, you let people receive the knowledge, and you can see the emotion well up, and you can see when you touch their soul. I know it's in a physical sense, but you know that the energy of the soul is receiving, and you see it in their eyes, in their face. It's the emotional thing that many, as you teach, that it's the emotions that are keeping us locked in. But many, when you deliver some you speak some of the words, and the soul receives it, and they understand it. You see it instantly, and it's a beauty. And I'm sure you've I'm sure you've received this many times. Thank you for everything you do, Mr. Keshe, and thank you for listening to me.
Right. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Any other question?
Thank you, Mr. Keshe. And we have a hand up with Kay. And perhaps before we get to that, we had a question in the Keshe Plasma Reactor group from Claudia, who always seems to be able to generate a question. It's a little bit confusing, not confusing, but I'll have to maybe explain a little bit. It's about the idea of male and female, and basically, I think she said that you have stated in the past that the beings of space have no genitalia. And so Claudia is asking, in space, is there male and female? Are there different male and female strengths as such? Now, I relate this to what you said earlier regarding the Earth and the outgoing and incoming energies, and that seems that duality or polarity, you could say, seems evident through the universe. And we have, the idea of the electron, proton, and neutron, as you said, is the ideal atom to start with. It's got all three parts to it. So we have positive, negative, and then a neutral, or we have an affirming and denying and reconciling. We have magnetical, gravitational, and the in-between. How would you like to approach that? Do beings in space have male and female?
I explained to you something very interesting. Very simple. This is the planet Earth. And this is your little magnet. You remember? They tell you this. The fields come in. And they tell you this, that the fields go out. This is what we've been taught all the time. But, as I said, in the space gap, you still have fields coming in from the universal side, where this comes from the Earth side, and fields which go out. I explained that now we take this one to be the Earth replication of the same magnet. And we have the opposite side where the fields go in and the fields come out. You remember when we spoke about when the fields of the sun and the earth interact and rub against each other, the friction creates the daylight we see from Earth. The same process happens here. The interaction of the fields coming in one direction and going in another creates a friction inside the center of the Earth, where they interact across the planet, but primarily of a higher order center. In the center of the Earth, you have a mesh of fields be released by interaction. Outside we see it as a light. Here we see it as an energy. And then this energy reflects back as magnetical and in another direction as gravitational within it. But it's of a new order, it's of the new light. The magnetic field of the sun and gravitational field of the sun, we don't see anything till interacts with dynamic fields of the Earth, magnetic and gravitational. Then we see the light. Here is the energy. And this is where the food of the Earth, the energy of the Earth is received. This is the only reason why planetary systems and the stars can survive for billions of years. They're not just put there plump, they're fed, they're nourished by the fields of the universe. What I explained today, it has never been understood by man up to now. Now you understand how you're fed. And this now is true that the field of strength that feeds you, man, through your backside, as I call it, as it comes out. 60% plus of your energy is received this way. Not by you feeding the mouth. And it doesn't, as I said, bypass you. It goes through you because every cell needs some of this energy according to survival. One day I explained why even man bends when he gets older. Why we fall forward. World of science tells us different thing, but the reality is totally different. Because as you bend closer to Earth, you absorb the higher energy, which is ready, makes your soul ready to leave. Man posture of standing and going flat, crossing different fields, energies, has brought man intelligence. When a man bends back, it absorbs energies, which is good enough, strength enough for man to depart. It's not what man tells you. Then, once you understand this, how the energy fields in the center of the planet given to Earth by interaction of the fields coming in and going out and what they interact with each other, and then it becomes mass which goes out, you create the condition of the black hole. This is why I can pinpoint in the brain of the man where the soul is. And it's not absorb energy, it's the essence of life. This is what the first paper was, which I wrote, trying to explain the world of creation. And thief of Baghdad, Mr. Stephen Hawking, we know what they did with it. I spoke about the black hole in the dimension of the plasma, fields of the universe. Now you understand how your planet receives energy, how is fed. And you have to understand the same thing. It's you standing here on Earth. And it's you which your soul is there. And it's you which again receives the fields going through it. And the fields coming back in it. So you are in a smaller dimension of the soul, in the current, in the flow of the fields. That's how your soul gets fed. And through these lines, you dream, you connect to the other plasmas. In a way, you can explain your physical dreams comes from the fields which go inside connected. Your dream of a space is the one which goes out, it's magnetical. Then the essence of the creation you understand by this picture on the table. And now you understand how the planet Earth can exist for billions of years. You exist for 50, 100 years because you eat the matter state. You're dependent on that 20% of matter state. This central point of the Earth takes energy, on the energy level lives billions. If you understand how the center of the Earth, now I explain, lives, and you can transfer that in your energy, you live for 10, 20 billion years. This is how I live across the universe. This is why we are around for thousands of billions of years, and we just change the clock. Understand the principle, live by the principle, then you literally is everlasting life. If you understand now that the Earth is fed through the fields, is not just stay rotating, it runs up energy. Conservation of energy in a matter state and in a plasma state is the same. A planet cannot run for billions of years if it doesn't receive something. And this is a feeding line, which we never understood. We just drew a magnetic field, comes in, and then it goes out, and then we see the fields of the Earth going back and blah, blah. Have you understood? Even facing the sun, the fields which interact feeds what this planet needs. It's a feedback loop. You see the matter landing, you don't see the energy going in, which what it needs, because it filters it. Atmosphere of the planet dictates what energy the center needs. We don't understand this. So we come with all this rubbish which we heard in the world of imagination of the man, and the rest follow to understand. Maybe for the first time, world of science understand the work of the fields of the universe. The same applies, you change this from Earth to galaxy, apply this into the universe. All the same, nothing changes. We need a feedback loop. We need to interfere somewhere to get what we need, and the rest we don't need, we give. Or what is done. This is the mouth of the planetary system, and this is the backside of it, where it gets rid of what it doesn't need. But our world of scientists don't understand, because it's just being. This planet cannot rotate for billions of years just on its own, and it didn't come suddenly in. It accumulated, it created condition, and as these fields changes, then the dimension changes and new material to fields interaction are created. Isn't this what we do in matter production? Feedback of the need of the soul, feedback of the emotion gives us the feedback on the system. In a very recent experiment, one of the knowledge seekers who's with us knows what I'm talking about. We set up 3 systems and observed the process of the interaction. And it was amazing how the systems interact like this. It is amazing what you can do with it to understand the knowledge. We watched it for weeks. What was reaction between these, and what was the reaction between this and this and the rest of it. Because if you understand, the energy internal is very much what the man needs to understand. If you understand this picture, if you understand that in there looking at Earth and the magnet is your own soul, in a macro and micro condition, and then it applies to the universe and the rest. I made man in the image of myself. You cannot be any different. Any other question?
We have the originator of the question here with a hand up, so perhaps you can go ahead, Claudia, before that's the only hand up right now. Go ahead, Claudia.
Hello, Rick. Hello, Mr. Keshe.
Hi.
It's another subject that I want to speak with you. I'd like to know about little about when you say you teach for the whole humanity, for the whole universe. So these species of living beings listen through the soul, your knowledge, or can your soul be in several places at once, represented by a living being of the same species in the same place, time, and position?
It's very interesting you're raising this question, because just speaking with Dean, I refer to something in a very small way. When I said to him, when you saw the light, most probably was when the question set. He said he wasn't reading the screen. Later on, he read. So it didn't happen after he read the light. In the light to him appeared before he reading the question. So he's already received the information through the soul. Do you understand?
Yes.
And so we are on the same dimension, direction. We are universal teachers. And unfortunately, we don't have loudspeakers. When I was a child, I lived in Iran. I lived in north of Tehran, which is now more or less become the center of Tehran, in a very peculiar position. It was just the area. We had one mosques, and you had houses around the mosque. The mullah in this mosque was very clever. He knew most of what these people in these houses do and what they want and what they need or what he needs from them. He used to change the direction of the speaker of the mosque to the house or whatever he needed. He knew this guy works in the council and the water is problem in the area. He put it there to the guy who works in water authorities. We need water. The God doesn't let, and the Karbala and the rest of it. He knew this guy works on the roads. Yeah. So we need tarmac and everything else. The mullah used the speaker to speak, convey the information to what he liked to the people who lived here. In the world of creation, we don't have a loudspeaker. So our speaker is the dimensional fields of the universe. We talk for those who hear the voice, and the emotion is gone through the fields of dimension. And it's the answer to you. When we teach, the essence of the knowledge is given to all, in all dimensions. And we see it. We already see changes in the universe. I said in one of the teachings recently that in the time to come, we see the changes not only in humanity, but in the universe. Because the knowledge, the soul changes and brings that change too. So when we teach, the voice is for the man, the emotion of the knowledge is for the universe, which is transferred in the fields.
But why did you choose to be here like a human and not
we don't
another
choose. We don't choose. You know, when you're an officer, you're given a mission, you have to go and do your job.
Mm-hmm.
We are workers of the Creator. We are here to serve.
Thank you so much.
We are no prophet. We are teachers to teach the knowledge. Prophecy is the job of those who don't understand the creation. Any other question?
Okay, we have a question from Gerhard, who says in our Q&A, hello, Mr. Keshe. We always talk about the child of Mithra. Does this child have a name? It is always spoken so neutrally.
You gave your children a name, so is she. It's manifestation of your dimension of understanding the existence. And you give it names. We see it by the field strength. I explained this once to a knowledge seeker. Some cultures, like what we call Red Indians, American Indians, gave the name according to the emotion or the time and the position when the child was born. Sunrise, whatever. The child was born during the tornado, they call it a tornado. In some cultures in Western Europe, children have two birthdays. One birthday is where they were born, and one birthday which matches their name, usually in Christian families. And you call it a month name, which is, let's say, the month of whatever saint. And if you carry the name of that saint, whatever, you celebrate that day of the month, which is his name too. So it's the same with the children of Mithra. And you choose a name for the matter state, physical life state, and most probably a name for the connection to Mithra. And this is how we know children of Mithra in the future. And nobody can fake it because he stands out like a fire. Any other question?
We have one last question, I believe. It's regarding the let me see, the heat GANs, it's called. It says, hello, Mr. Keshe. I suffered, oh, sorry, this is from Haas. Haas, who says, hello, Mr. Keshe. I suffered severe burns on my face, hands, and leg, thighs about 10 months ago. Now I've got the heat GANs, but I'm not sure how to use it correctly. Thanks to Andreas, I received an exact translation of the instructions. Thank you very much for that. But I still don't know how to use GANs 1 and 2 on the face and hands if the skin on the back of the hand and also the palm, both sides, has been transplanted.
Oh,
Once
as
GANs
let
1 at
me,
the top and next time at the bottom. How often? 5 minutes?
you get in touch with Dr. Kern. We don't answer that kind of questions here. Go through Dr. Kern and you'll receive the answer. This is a specific application, and go to the wellness center in Germany and we guide you how to use
it. All right, that sounds good.
Hey, I just saw Mehran saying, did you forget about cows? Okay, wanted to ask a question or he disappeared.
No, he had an inadvertent hand.
Okay.
Accidental.
Excellent.
But he does say, may God bless you, Mr. Keshe, for all eternity, and wish you to carry on teaching the humanity of the divine knowledge for another 150 years to come. I think we might have to extend that a little more even. Okay, think that completes our
session
question.
today.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you very much. It's nice. As the members of Universal Council and Earth Council protect and guide the new talks, negotiations which are underway, that we manage to bring mankind to peace through development of new technologies. And again, as I said, I thank the Office of Al-Khamenei of Iran and the members of the group of this negotiation and those who are devoted to bring peace to Iran in working with us so closely in past times. And hopefully, collectively, we bring that change. And hopefully, we see the fruit of that change for our children to come. Thank you very much and see you next week.
Great. Thank you, Mr. Keshe. Thank you for another wonderful workshop here, the number 564 in a continuous weekly line of workshops. And we're very thankful as knowledge seekers for your guidance. Thank you. Okay, thanks to everyone for being here today to experience our 564th Knowledge Seekers Workshop here on Thursday, November 14th. And we look forward to the next public teaching workshop, which will be on Tuesday coming up November 19th, which will be the One Planet, One Nation, One Race for Justice and World Peace. And that starts at the 4 p.m. Central European Time with members of the Universal Council and support members. So that's open to the public and people are invited to attend. All right, great. Thank you, everyone. And we'll go out with our usual and bye for now.